Jonathan, from what you and I both know, and all of us are learning about Dylan Roof so far, what is your read on this individual?
Extremely disturbed. And, you know, I keep hearing all day that about this individual being filled with hate. I don't think there's any doubt that this person's filled with hate. You can look at his eyes. But we also have to look at the fact that he sat in a room with these individuals for an hour and then took their lives, you know, while they were in church, which is a very peaceful place. I think we have to look at this person also for the fact that they lack a conscience. And, you know, hatred is one thing, but lacking a conscience is a totally different thing. And I think we have a combination of anger and mental illness here in this person.
Well, not only that, but I'm wondering about narcissism, and this is why I say that. He allegedly let one of these people live because he told her that he wanted her to be able to tell people what he did and why he did it. What does that tell you, that he spared somebody's life for the reason? I mean, does he just want to be, is it notoriety? Is it narcissism?
Megalomaniacal almost.
Well, yeah, exactly. Narcissists don't typically kill, but psychopaths do. And psychopaths, you know, they can enjoy recognition as well because they don't have, and he could even be borderline sociopath. I mean, I think, though, it's clear that this individual has issues and that he wanted people to know what he did. That's why I don't think it was a big deal that he, you know, as far as him running and him getting caught. I think that had he wanted to hide, it probably would have been a much bigger search. And I think this individual wanted it to be known, and he wanted to get caught, I think. And this just points to me as somebody who is filled with hate but not a rational thinker. But at the same time, has the ability, and this is where mental illness is kind of weird like this, is he has the ability to plan out an attack, sit there and wait and carry it out. But yet at the same time want to be caught. I mean, it's odd.
Jonathan, there were a number of different photos that I want to bring up now, surveillance images that were captured from the CCTV at the church that show Dylan in the moments before and potentially after the attack. And I want you to walk us through these because to the untrained eye, there are things that didn't stand out to us in the newsroom, but things that I know you picked up on as unusual.
Well, let's start with the flap that you see hanging down there below his shirt. To me, that appears to be possibly body armor. And if this guy was, you know, in the woods and was kind of like a guru of weapons, I don't know if that's the case. But if he is, he potentially could have had body armor planning to do this type of an attack. Also, he had a long sleeve shirt in an area that is stifling hot, even in the evenings. He was obviously trying to cover something up. And then lastly, you can see his right leg where the pants are a little bit bloused up. It's hard to tell from this picture, but I wasn't sure if he potentially had an ankle holster on, you know, and was concealing a weapon that way. I didn't see a backpack on him. I think that thing on the side of his shoulder is really just a design for the shirt. And if I can just say this one thing, I don't want people to think that I don't think this person isn't filled with hate or isn't filled with racial hate. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that this person obviously lacks a conscience. And, you know, there's some mental illness there. But listen, let's let the weight of the law come down. And I don't mean to sound, you know, mean when I say this, but the reality is if he wants to go into a church and he wants to kill people when they're, you know, talking to the Lord and having prayer, listen, the state of South Carolina can arrange a face-to-face meeting for him and the Lord himself. And I would recommend that they do that and set an example for anybody else that wants to follow in this guy's footsteps.
Jonathan, let's take a moment to examine what's happening right now. Help us understand how they're talking to him. How do you approach a guy like this, as you've been talking, a psychopath? And do you even believe anything he says?
Well, you have to, so that's why you control the environment where he's in. You have to be able to, you know more than you know all that he's done so far. I mean, it's laid out there. He even told somebody, you know, you're living so that you can tell everybody what I did. So when you go in there, you can really manipulate the situation. You want a sterile environment where he's not able to use things in the environment against you, because psychopaths or people that are bent on lying will try to do that. They'll try to use their environment against you. So it's really up to the officers that are in there interrogating this individual to use his problems, his disorder, his stress, his guilt against him. And you'd be really surprised, even the most dangerous, deadly person can somehow muster up guilt for what they did, and when they get that, they have to continue to go down that road with it. Also, you know, he could be like a smoker, for instance, and the officer doesn't have to be a smoker, but if he knows he's a smoker, put a pack of cigarettes down there. It's going to start a craving in this individual, and then you can use that to your advantage. Remember, when you interrogate, you're creating a false environment so that you can manipulate his emotions.